Welcome to the Diamond Network. This is July 25th, and we've got a great show. This is Candy from the Candy Shop Show, part of the Diamond Network, hosting for Elizabeth as she's earned a well-deserved break. And we're going to have our wonderful astrologer, Cynthia, returning this evening as our guest speaker. And we're getting ready to look forward to August 1st, next Monday, and Christopher Stephen Jenkins returning to galactalize with Elizabeth upon her return. And so we've got some exciting things tonight and in the coming days. So let's get started. Is Misty there, and would she like to do the Law of One for us this evening?
Oh,
yes, Misty.
I would love to.
Okay. Well, we're going to do some current events in a little bit, but maybe the Galactics would like to listen to us Earthlings on the surface and what we have to say. So bring them on in, Misty.
Okay, well, thank you, Candy. Well, I'd like to bring in the Galactics. I'd like to bring in our guides, our angels, all of those with the intent of the highest good of all concerned to come and join with us. And while we say the prayer and intention for the Law of One, highest good of all concerned, and I'll go ahead and start. We are all one.
We are all one.
And when one is harmed, all are harmed.
When one is harmed,
all are harmed.
And when one is helped and healed, all are helped and healed.
When one is helped and healed, all are helped and healed.
And therefore,
in
the name of who I am.
In the name of who I am.
And I am one with all that is.
And I am one with all that is.
I ask that only that, which is in the highest good.
I ask that only the highest good
happen. And I give thanks that this is done.
I give thanks that this is done.
So be it, and so it is.
So be it, and
so it is. Well, thank you, Misty, from Washington State. And folks, remember, her show is on Thursdays. Misty, is it this Thursday or next Thursday?
Yes, it'll be this Thursday at 5:30 Pacific time.
Right, and does anyone know which is the number for our show this evening? Or which was the one for last Thursday?
I do not know.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I asked Elizabeth today, and she was busy enjoying herself, I guess. Well, folks, it'll be up on YouTube in a couple of days, and that's when you can, grab the link to the YouTube show for tonight, and and post it on Facebook and send it in emails out to everyone. Elizabeth wants our outreach as the Galactics, to increase, and let's do it. I think that people are getting woke up fast, and even if they weren't on our show a year ago or 3 months ago, I think they can jump in and be thrilled, with what they hear on the Diamond Network. And of course, tomorrow night is Sunny and Dale's program, Same time, same number. Wednesday night, Candy Shop Show, same number, an hour later. And come on, join in with me, at least for the first half hour, before the Democratic Convention gets exciting and the end of the evening. All right, and then Misty's on Thursday. Well, and the YouTube channel is Diamonds Forever channel, and there's a space between each word, and the Candy Shop Show with Mark Sorensen and Hildegard from Toronto is up, and it's a great show. You get to hear the Arcturian language, and it's just wonderful. Well, listen, I want to open the candy jar, and let's see what kind of treats we have in here. I want to give you a little preview of what I've been experimenting with. The Galactics have promised us all this new biologic technology that they will bring when full disclosure happens and before. And, of course, the Anastasia books helped us understand about the biologic technology, and everybody should at least read Book 1 by Vladimir McGree, was the channeler of the Anastasia material, and get a better grasp of what biologic technology is all about, and how we can use our individual ray to see at a distance and to hear at a distance, and so many things. Well, I learned on this big trip I've been talking about this 14 days, so many things. The one thing I learned was finally how to use the microphone to talk the text messages, so I didn't have to type them. And of all things, yesterday it came to me, folks, I've done a lot of automatic writing in my life. I started doing automatic writing in 1972. And I didn't have a mentor, an encourager like Elizabeth in those days. And I kept a lot of it to myself, and I could hardly believe, what was coming through. But my message from the Roth tribe, which protect me, was, hey, Candy, we're ready to communicate with you. We're ready to help you with your biologic technology ability. And so they led me to talk into my smartphone using the microphone on a text message, and I did it with a friend who listens to these shows, and they said that they would give me some automatic writing through my phone. I had never done that before. And they said, just speak words. Just speak words, not really complete sentences or anything, and we will rearrange the words into the message we want to send you. Yeah, wow. And I will be continuing to do some of this research and be sharing with you guys in the future the messages that I'm getting through my phone from the Galactics. And I encourage you guys just to do this as well. You guys that have smartphones, and if you've got a nice long message, just take a screenshot of it. And then you can read it from your photos album. You could put it on Facebook. So there it is. Some of you, that you who don't have smartphones won't understand what I'm talking about. But those of you who do, meditate on this and see if it's time for you to have that kind of ability. Well, it's just been so great to be home, and but wow, since I talked to everybody on Wednesday night after I got home from New York, I went to Omaha. Yeah. So my grandson, Skyler, who's been on here before, he'd really been missing quality time with Grandma. And I said, you haven't met your dad's relatives since you were a baby at his funeral, your granddad. So let's go to Omaha and meet the relatives. And so we popped in that car. That little boy, 9 years old, was perfect for the whole 7-hour trip. We just had a ball. And his relatives were all so thrilled to see him and see me. And it was just really great. And I did do some praying for Omaha and Lincoln. We've all heard about the Franklin crap and all the stuff going on in Nebraska. So it was another place for Candy to do her prayer rituals. So that was cool. Now everybody knows other kind of situations going on right now in my jar. Of course, Germany was hit with 3 terrorist attacks this weekend. Some of the Russians hacked the DNC emails and released them through Wikipedia, and so we've had another big Watergate scandal. People are beginning, they really believe in these conspiracies now that the head of the DNC, the Congresswoman Wasserman from Florida, she had to resign yesterday over the whole fiasco, and she was going to chair the convention tonight, and then she decided a few hours ago that that's not what she wanted to do. When her own Florida delegation, the people that she has known for years, booed her when she came to join them. So, that sounds like the end of her career. She might not go to prison like some of the Watergate plumber guys did, although she should, destroying Bernie's chances. Well, anyway, we have heard a lot about the political stories, and of course we had my guest speaker, Boris, from the Bronx a couple of weeks ago, saying that Hillary would be completely out of the picture no later than the end of September. Well, listen, Benjamin Fulford's got courage to get out there, and I've been running around and haven't taken short notes, but I thought that we might just listen to something that Benjamin has to say together. So let's try this, and maybe open mind.
Concerning this thing all info. July 26, 2016. Benjamin Fulford. Rothschild game plan was to reverse the results of World War I. The final game plan of the Rothschilds was to reverse the results of World War I by reinstating the German, Austro-Hungarian, and Russian monarchies. Sources in Germany and the U.S. agree.
Okay, I hope you're hearing that all right. And, of course, he's talking about World War I.
The plan that is now unfolding in Europe calls for a civil war against a Muslim enemy. The so-called Muslim terrorists are being financed with money supposed to be spent on fighting so-called carbon-induced global warming, the sources add. This is why we are seeing daily Muslim terror attacks that seem to always involve lone wolves who die in the attack. That way there is no need to have a messy trial where facts might have a chance of intruding into the public mind. In any case, the sources say that after a summer of increasingly severe terrorist attacks, European bank ATMs will be shut down, possibly in August or September. It is at this point where the royal families will present themselves as saviors and provide the people with huge amounts of fiat money and security in exchange for the reinstatement of their monarchies.
Wow. I'm glad I was inspired to play this. Did you hear this plan to shut down all the ATMs in late August and just, cause chaos? Of course, the EBTs, the food stamp system, was shut down at various places this past Saturday, scaring a lot of people that they couldn't pay for the groceries unless they had cash. It was a mess.
The reinstated European royalty will be headed by German Kaiser, Caesar, who will have 4 kings, will be appointed under him, they say. The candidate for Kaiser will probably come from either the Habsburg or Hohenzollern royal families, they note. That means Karl Habsburg or the Hohenzollern George Friedrich Prince of Prussia. Another candidate they mention is Ferdinand Stevenimir Habsburg Lothringen. The Tsar of Russia would be most likely Prince Michael of Kent. Because he has the most Romanov blood of all the European royals. This fits in with what Russian sources have long told us, and that is that Vladimir Putin was put in power by a faction in the KGB that was loyal to the Russian royal family. This move, combined with the push by Turkey's Recep Erdogan to restore the Ottoman Turkish Empire, would, if successful, restore the German, Austro-Hungarian, and Turkish empires, essentially bringing Europe and the Near East back to the situation that existed before World War I. So, the 100-year plot to reverse the Anglo-American victory in World War I has now been unmasked. The Brexit vote in this context means the British royal family will not have to fall under the rule of the restored monarchies of Europe. The question, of course, is, will the European people passively agree to be terrorized and financially blackmailed into restoring these bloodlines to formal power? We may well find out this summer and autumn. In the meantime, expect a gladio frenzy of increasingly lurid false flag attacks and well-financed, violent demonstrations. It is also a good bet that German Chancellor Angela Merkel and French President François Hollande will lose power later this year. Meanwhile, a serious power struggle is also coming to a head in the United States. CIA sources say that China has given the secret codes for a large amount of gold, thousands of metric tons, to be given as a loan to the U.S. Treasury so that the dollar will not implode. The catch, though, is that the boys in D.C. must indict Hillary. Since the Democratic Party presidential convention started this week with a big Russian email leak about how Democratic Party brass rigged things for Hillary Clinton, there can be no doubt a serious power struggle is underway in Washington, D.C. Democratic Party National Committee head Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who was fingered in the email leak, has said she will resign after the convention. CIA sources say it is very likely she will be killed soon to stop her from testifying about how she stole the election for Clinton. The Pentagon and agencies have already forced both the Democratic and Republican parties to promise they will restore the Glass-Steagall Act. This means a forced end to the crooked casino that the Bush/Clinton faction of the Hazarian Mafia had turned the U.S. financial system into. The P2 Freemason Lodge also forced Hillary to accept Tim Kaine, a Jesuit, as her candidate for vice president, CIA sources say. Since Trump is also supported by the Jesuits and P2, this means they have both sides covered in the U.S. now.
Wow. So the vice president for Hillary, this Kaine guy, is a Jesuit, and also on the Trump side? Wow.
So, as the Soviets used to say during the Cold War, the Americans can choose between Pepsi-Cola or Coca-Cola, but you can be certain wine, tea, coffee, etc. will never be on the ballot. A clear indication of how corrupt and decadent the U.S. system has become can be seen in Secretary of State John Skull and Bones Kerry acting as a shill for satanic chemical corporations like DuPont. Kerry was in Vienna last Friday saying air conditioners were as big a threat to life as terrorism. What is happening is that 17 years have elapsed since the DuPont Corporation and its crime partners got fluorine gas to be banned just as their patent on it was expiring. Their BS fluorine caused ozone hole story fooled just about everybody at the time. Now, the patent on their replacement for fluorine, hydrofluorocarbons, CFCs, is expiring too. So their moronic slave Kerry is being paraded out in front of world dignitaries to argue that banning CFCs will literally save life on the planet itself. What he really means is that it will save his chemical buddies annual $20 billion or so in revenue on selling patented refrigerants to the world's air conditioners, refrigerators, etc. What sort of degenerate political system is it that gets the foreign minister of what used to be the world's greatest country to tell outright lies on behalf of corporations so that they can swindle money out of people in poor countries who desperately need air conditioning? It is a system so corrupt it must be overthrown. Speaking about which, there has been response to the one-ton gold bounty placed on many of the top bosses of the Hazarian Mafia by the White Dragon Society. The U.S. Special Forces Command has contacted the WDs to ask for written bounty notices that can be presented to persons on the list. They want this because they do not want to start a sheepdog-on-sheepdog situation where special forces fight each other as some try to protect the people on the list and others try to arrest them. These documents are being prepared and the special forces will operate in harmony to carry out the anti-Hazarian Mafia mission. The bounties will be issued by the Planetary Liberation Army General Command in conjunction with the WDs. The WDs also knows it will lose face if some action is not taken after the deadline given to the Rothschilds expires at midnight Hawaii time on July 25th. Since the Rothschilds are now hiding in Switzerland, there may be a delay before action is taken, but it will be taken. Nathan Rothschild, who originally agreed to meet with the WDs, has publicly announced he is not inviting his father to his wedding to make it clear the blockage of a deal is the responsibility of his father and uncle, not him. For this reason, the one-ton gold bounty on Nathan has been suspended. Also, Asian secret societies, even though they suffered destruction of irreplaceable cultural treasures like the Summer Palace, do not want to destroy priceless artworks, the heritage of all humanity, to get a few old men. That means the complex in Zug, Switzerland will not be hit with a missile. Instead, expect precision surgery, they say. The Rothschilds may be thinking the recent ruling against China in the South China Sea can be used to manipulate the U.S. military and its allies into war with China. Certainly, Pentagon sources feel they have right on their side now that a court ruling has been made. So there is definitely going to be some heavy brinksmanship ahead as the U.S. is threatening to send a multinational naval task force to the South China Sea to enforce the ruling, Pentagon sources say. The Chinese, meanwhile, argued the tribunal was a political farce and noted that none of its 5 members was Asian or knew much about Asian history or culture. Nonetheless, the Chinese have agreed to let Singapore arbitrate on the South China Sea issue with ASEAN. Since Singapore is regional CIA and MI6 headquarters, it is clear the Chinese are looking for a compromise. Of course, this whole South China Sea thing is just a pretext for the Rothschilds to play their U.S. military might card in the ongoing bankruptcy negotiations of the Rockefeller and Rothschild United States of America and United Nations corporations. The Republic of the United States is not bankrupt and must not let itself be manipulated in this manner by owners of a corporation based in Washington, D.C. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, repercussions from the failed coup attempt in Turkey are continuing to be felt in many ways. Pentagon sources say Turkish President Recep Erdogan may have signed his own death warrant since 90 U.S. nukes and 1,500 U.S. airmen are potential hostages at Incirlik Air Base. The Pentagon sources also say Turkey may have turned east, but it was still under the watchful eyes of Russia, Iran, Iraq, and Syria because nobody trusts Erdogan. However, the Pentagon sources also say the Bush cabal is reeling from the loss of CIA drug flights to and from Incirlik. The other thing that has happened in the Middle East is that Russia sent a drone over Israel to systematically gather intelligence about Israeli military deployments. Furthermore, the drone was able to disable 3 Israeli missiles, making it clear they have total air superiority and that the Israel Defense Forces are sitting ducks. Israel is now expected to become a Jewish autonomous zone within the restored caliphate. Their attempt to malign moderate Islam by creating a fake radical Islamic ISIS gay man has failed. Thanks for listening and watching.
That was Benjamin Fulford. Wow. And what a speech. Special. or about. It's just really something, and to watch what we've learned now about the background of the vice presidential choice by Hillary. I mean, I never heard of that guy before today. So, well, listen, keep on meditating, keep on developing your biologic technology. That means your psychic abilities, telepathy and hearing, and your dream interpretation. And we're going to hear more of these kinds of things for our wonderful guests tonight. But I'll put the lid back on the candy jar treat. And if anybody would like to discuss them for a few minutes, they can. But our own Cynthia from the Diamond Council will be joining us now. Are you there, Cynthia?
I'm right here, yes.
Great. Would you like to comment on anything that you've heard just now?
Oh, my God. Have you got 16 years? What could I comment? Oh, my God. I hope everybody's rolling their eyes. Oh, my God. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I could comment on it, but, where would I start? It would be like walking into a cave full of diamonds and jewels, and it's like, which one do you go to first? I wouldn't know where to start, Candy.
Well, that's just fine. I mean, I did not realize that they had the gall to try to reinstate publicly the monarchies that were out there in 1914, 1916. 100-year plan. So from 1916 to 2016. Wow. Well, we know the Galactics are on our side, and they're not going to let that happen. And things are backfiring for them all over. It's just wonderful to travel around America and not see chemtrails and to see fluffy, beautiful clouds, beautiful skies. Now, there's special planes going on right now over southwest Missouri, but they are weather control planes. They're not those nasty chemtrail planes, because I think it's the good guys that are out there, because Missouri was about to burn up in all this heat and the crops and everything, and suffering so much. And so now they've brought in a cooling rain today, and all week we're supposed to have some lovely rains for our gardens and things. And so that's a good treat. But listen, Cynthia, what have you got to share with us this evening?
Again, where do I start? Oh, well, I guess the most important factoid to consider in this huge banquet of possibilities is the fact that today is the day out of time in the Mayan calendar. And if you don't know about the Mayans, you will. And those who already know a little bit about the Mayans know that whatever the Mayans say and whatever the Mayans do, very worthy of listening. Very, very worthy, listen-worthy. And they had these ancient calendars. And it was their calendar that talked about December 12th, 2012. I think it was December 21st, 2012. But the Mayans began their calendar with 0, not with 1. So it was actually 2011. Everybody thinks it's 2012, but it's really 2011. That lineup happened with Galactic Center. And what we're talking about here is the gears of a clock. The old-timey clocks where they had gears within gears within gears, some small, large. And those little rascals would work together to turn those hands to let us know what time it is. And the stars and the constellations are the gears of a clock. And it's probably the most fascinating study. Well, it's not, obviously. I mean, Entertainment can be a fascinating study. Earth ray location, philosophy solving and sciences, and problem solving and sciences and philosophy, poetry, education, balance, all of these amazing things, art, are all fascinating areas of study. But astrometaphysics is what we're talking about, and the fact that today is the day out of time is astrometaphysics. It has to do with the cycling of the planets and the solar systems and the galaxies over eons and eons of time. It's a whole lot like your own body. Your body has these cycles, menstrual cycles, sleep and waking cycles, biorhythms. You can get really good programs free to download for your biorhythms, and I strongly recommend you do that because it will make your life amazingly easier, because you can look up your critical days and you know when they're going to be. Like, say your critical day is going to be next Wednesday for physical or emotional. They give you all the biorhythms. And then you know not to put that important meeting on that day. You just know, and you just schedule it for another day. So those are free downloads, biorhythm calculators, and there's a number of them. And the few that I'm familiar with, they're all excellent, but they're different, and you can download them all, and they're all free. So no excuses, folks. Just give yourself a break and learn about those rhythms. But what we're talking about here is astrometaphysics, and every July 25th, there is a day out of time, because in the Mayan way of reckoning time, the year ended yesterday, and the new year starts tomorrow. So there's a day in the middle called the day out of time, and that's today. So this is a big deal. And my highly psychic neighbors, set off beautiful fireworks earlier on the call. They have since quit. But, very impressive fireworks. And, what a day to do it, the day out of time. So there's a little bit of time left in the day out of time, and I believe that Benjamin Fulford comment about today being the end day of the grace period for the Illuminati top families. It's all tied together.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So is there anybody here, did you get any automatic stuff, Candy, or is anybody on the call, did you get a hit intuitively from inner guidance about any of this? If you want to come on, let's share, because we are a council. This is a council. We are a council. And we are listened to very carefully. There are people who listen in on this call that will never make themselves known, or they may at the very end. But there's the galactics. So is there, and you don't have to say anything, and don't feel guilty if you don't feel to, but if you do want to say something, just, what do you do, Candy? Hit *6?
Yes, hit *6 if
Cynthia.
like to say.
Yeah.
It's Ma'am.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
I just love what you're sharing right now, and I have been reading a lot of different things throughout the day, just checking different websites and trying to catch up on the news, and that's just kind of what I do. But when I woke up this morning, I knew it was one of those days you're talking about in my biorhythm, although I didn't have any charts, and I don't know those charts, but I had this sadness, and it was a sadness, but it was a joy. It was like, without having the evidence, I was feeling this change, this, I don't know, it's that part of that whole sadness about, being open to being allowing and being open to giving up
but not naming anything specifically necessarily. And just, there was that cry in my spirit, just show me something. I need some help. I need some divine guidance. I need some instruction here. And I was, hold on just a second. I was in this place of just needing, saying, okay, I went to sleep last night and I said, if, I believe you're there. My thing growing up was my teacher, Yeshua. And so Sananda, whatever, if all of that's true and we're believing that we have these others that we are learning about since, coming into this greater understanding and awareness, I just know that they do hear and that I have been led to different things at different times. And sure enough, when I got up this morning and as the day progressed, I was led to this message that really it didn't come out until I think in 2007 or 2008, because it was before 2012. And it was talking about the 8 divine dispensations of time and, what they expected was going to happen. And they kind of talked about, who was going to make it into this period where we would be getting our mentors and our teachers and being in this ascension spiral, and where you would be in that 5th dimension and, moving up into the 6th dimension even. And then there was this other message that was from Archangel Michael that was put out today about the Lion's Gate, which I'm looking forward to you talking about. But I was just so uplifted through those messages and encouraged. And I just want to say thank you for your faithfulness in being here. I wasn't able to be here on my night, Monday the 18th, and I haven't even gotten to hear what happened that night. But I'll tell you, answers are happening, and I'm just in that place of, when it comes to the RV and the prosperity packages and all of those things that we're looking forward to, it's like, yes, I do still look and listen for different things to find out where we're at, but it has to do with the whole thing about the whole governmental changes over the whole earth. And I heard today that, like, for instance, in the Philippines, that their leader there signed a thing into law for the freedom of information, and now that country is going to be able to publish the truth about their history and what happened to them. And that's going to be another big watershed for other countries to be able to do the same. And then this information that came out about the whole, Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Convention and what happened with the Clinton Foundation and all of that stuff, it's okay. We're going to get through this, and we are the people that are in this divine flow. Those of us that are on this call, I know, and some that are listening, we are able to hear. And that was, I don't remember who it was of all the things I was listening to, but I think it was Candy, actually, right before I came on, or before you came on, and she said, continue to strive or, ask to have an increase in your hearing and seeing and working towards that, which that's what they're telling us. That's what the teachers are telling us, to work on your inner work. And you can know about that outward stuff, but you don't have to be focused on it. And I do believe that we do know how to see things come to us when we put it out there. And I do believe that I got answers today. So that was my little part in trying to confirm and back you up in what you're trying to share here with what's happening. And I can't wait to hear your words, because I love to hear you speak. And you are a wonderful teacher, and I love you so much.
My favorite reply to such a saying and wonderful thing, besides thank you, is, it takes one to know one. Chew on that one for a few minutes.
Oh, and that goes to everybody on this call who might listen, who might be on here now or who might hear this in the future. I was telling a friend, we are so privileged. When I read that it took, how many millions of years in that first report on the dispensations for us to get to this place. And the numbers were very few that they thought were going to make it. But now these reports that we're hearing more recently are saying that, isn't it true, Cynthia, they're saying that they think most of the people are going to make it now or have made it?
Absolutely, and that's an understatement, yes.
So I am thrilled because we had a part in that, our not giving up and having hope and just, continuing to be who we are and holding the line and being that anchor and that bridge. We have done our part. We absolutely are doing our part in making this all possible. Thank you. And I'll yield the talking stick.
Well, I'm blown away. I don't even know if I can talk anymore.
Yes, that was perfect follow-up.
That was so beautiful.
Yes.
I'm speechless.
Every side of it.
I'm trying to recover. Oh, my goodness.
All I can tell you is I'm excited, and I think that's why you can't talk, is because I think maybe everybody on this call is excited, and it brings me to tears.
Me too, honey. Me too.
And this 2 days, actually, that 2 days, it's not 2 days. It's today. Today is the 25th. Somewhere in the eastern part of the world, it's already the 25th, and we have already entered into the Lion's Gate, and it's going through, I think, August 12th. And I mean, I am just, from coming in that place in the morning of being kind of low and needing some help, I am like over the top.
Yeah.
Okay.
The key that I've learned with feeling low and in the dumps is to embrace the feeling itself. It's a wondrous. It's like Alice going down the rabbit hole. You go into the negative feeling instead of avoiding it, and you let it just swallow you up and chew you up and digest you and just consume you. And that's the symbol of the phoenix. You get consumed by whatever the feeling in the dumps feeling is doing in you, through you. And what happens is you arise from it. In other words, your old self gets eaten up and destroyed. The flames consume the phoenix. And then out of the ashes, a new phoenix emerges. And it's more beautiful than the one before. And that's what happens with the right use of magic. And magic is a very misused word. It's misused like the word love is misused. In fact, the two words are basically the same if you study their roots. In other words, the ultimate magic is love. And so if you're feeling down in the dumps, the ultimate magic is not taking a pill, getting your mind off of it, blah, blah, blah. We've heard all of it a million times. It's going into it. The one thing you would never do before. You just go into the feeling of being down in the dumps, and you just say, okay, I want to feel this completely. I want to feel it in my body, and it'll be very familiar. It'll be something you've been carrying around for years and decades. And you're for the first time in your life, you just stop fighting it. Stop analyzing it. Stop judging it. Stop panicking, frantic, anything does not feel that way. You just go into it. And the feeling is that of annihilation. You're just absolutely certain that if you go into it, you'll die. And that's why you've been fighting it all these years. So anyway, you just go into it and you let it have its way with you. And what I do when I'm doing that is I have a mantra for my mind, because the mind, just wants to stay busy all the time. So I have several, but one of my favorite ones is just thank you. I'll just say thank you, thank you, thank you to the feeling. Because that feeling, whatever it is, however horrible it is a step toward me becoming a bodhisattva, is a step toward me to following in the Kuan Yin lineage or the Mother Mary lineage of the open heart of compassion. In other words, it may be a horrible feeling, but millions of people feel that feeling, and animals too, whatever it is. And by surrendering to it and letting it have its way with me and consume me, I know what they know. I have walked in their moccasins. I have felt, what the poor pigs feel like in the slaughterhouses. The prisoners of war who are shot. The women who are, beheaded or stoned to death, are just shunned, which is even worse. And it does something to me that opens my heart to want to reach out to those people and those animals in mercy. And I think that's the phoenix that rises from the ashes, is that desire to make a difference, to somehow be a messenger of answered prayer to whoever we are given the honor and the privilege of offering our hand to help them step up. And we become bodhisattvas. We become what we follow in the footsteps of the great masters. We become beings of divine faith and compassion, understanding, forgiveness. And in so doing that, as a life path, it does a lot of things, but one of the things it does is it gets you out of judgment. You no longer judge others. Well, you do. You judge them in the sense that you understand where they're coming from. I would call that discernment. You discern who they are and what they are and where they're coming from. But your heart has been broken, and you can't help but love them and understand that in their own way they're doing the best they can. They're surviving the only ways they know how. And rather than persecute them more for being klutzy with life, you're the one who offers the hand of friendship, of help. Your heart goes out to them, not your mind judging them or your belly constricted in fear to run from them or fight them. You just calmly realize that there is another you, and that they are struggling and they're doing the best they can, and they're doing a lousy job. And they need help. They don't need more criticism and people trying to kill them. And it's a field of healing. It's a field of really grace and mercy. And what my vision is that everybody gets healed, so that the circumstances that need extraordinary acts of compassion are moderated and balanced so that we can have a lot of gaiety, a lot of fun, and we can have a lot of music, and we can have beautiful dancing, and we can have lots of good education and art. You know, I mean, so that people don't feel like they have to be rescuing all the time. They can look around and see a world where basically everything's happy and running just fine, and can relax and just enjoy life, you know, surrounded in happiness and just bubbling over with happiness themselves. And the beautiful thing about this horror that we've been through for so long is that a lot of scientific work was done. And when all the scientific work that has been done is put together where we can see the larger picture, it's amazing what we're going to find, because we're going to find new technology and we're going to find old technology. And this technology that Candy was talking about is the original technology. In other words, if you haven't already been exposed to things like firewalks and, you know, people who have miracles, you will. And most likely you'll have those experiences yourself increasingly, where all our logical mind constructs that we've been so carefully taught for generations are just going to crumble and fall. That's the internal government that is going away now. We have an external collective government that is deteriorating, dissolving, just like the phoenix. It's being consumed, and out of the ashes will arise a new phoenix, a new government. And this government, my point of view, we all have points of view, but my point of view is, will be the law of one, which is the highest good of all, which is very scientific. So it's going to incorporate those biological technologies of clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, bilocation, transmutation, materialization and dematerialization, and all kinds of abilities, you know, from artistic abilities of all kinds to scientific abilities, political abilities, educational abilities, agricultural abilities, commerce abilities, you know, mystical abilities, healing abilities. But basically all the abilities that we've ever heard of from any of the great beings who've gone before to leave us the instructions. But these abilities will operate in each and every one of us in response to our day-to-day lives in the moment, in the now. And as we said earlier, every day has cycles. Every month has cycles. Every year has cycles. And the cycles are between, it's like the in-breath and the out-breath, are the arteries and the veins. There's the time of taking in, and there's the time of assimilating, and the time of letting go so that you can take in again. And if you will, these are my commercials tonight, please download the free biorhythm calculators. They got them for your phone, they got them for your computer, and they are F-R-E-E. There's no excuse. It doesn't cost money, and they're not big programs, so they won't tax your computer. And if your computer isn't running well, may I suggest some free utilities They're called Glary, Glary. It's like glory, but with an A. And they have free versions that are they will clean your computer. They will find problems and fix them on your computer. And you can buy the professional versions, but they're only like, maybe $15. These are geeks that are making these things possible. So that's what has saved my computer, is the Glary utilities. And the free versions would have been just fine. In fact, I used them for a long time. And I finally, sprung and put in $15 for the professional versions, which are really something. And you get free upgrades. And they upgrade frequently because they're on top of what's going on. So Glary, free. And you want to just put in biorhythm calculators, and you'll have a choice, and they're free. And you can buy upgrades and expensive things, and I have in the past. But let me tell you, right now on my computer, I just got the freebies, and they're fine. They're more sophisticated than even I use. You can put in the birth dates of your family, your friends, whoever, and then every day you can just click on that program and select who you want to see, and you can see exactly where their biorhythms are. Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. All of these things have biorhythms. And if it's below the line, you're in a receptive mode, like a sleeping mode where you're regenerating. And if it's above the line, you're outputting. And if you know what your biorhythms are, or your kids, or your family, or your friends, you just click on the darn thing and you click their name because you've already entered their information. And you can say, hey, friend, hey, brother, hey, husband or wife, you're having an intellectual critical day, which means your mind is going through all these amazing things that's totally captivating you. And they'll say, well, thank you for telling me. And it will make them feel better about themselves that day. They'll understand why their mind is acting that way. It's because on a biorhythmic level, they are going either, your critical days are when you're either going into receptive, passive, regenerate mode, or back up into active mode. Those are your critical days, is when you're making that transition. And those days can be great, but you have to be real gentle with yourself or with your friend. You have to cut a lot of slack and just kick back and, not put any pressure whatsoever. Because, the research that was done on people who have died, did they die on a critical day? It was like 80%. It was a very high percentage of people who actually died on a critical day. So if you know that you're going to have a critical day, you know not to be unfriendly to your own self. Or if it's someone in your family or someone you love, you know not to ride herd. You know to back off and be very nice and sweet and loving. And that is all the difference in the world. And hopefully it'll rub off. And you can be sweet and loving to yourself and others every day, not just critical days. But anyway, so today is the day out of time. And tomorrow we start a new year, and it's a year of dissolving, inwardly and outwardly. And we're perfectly protected. The outer stuff is going to dissolve, things that have been around. And our inner stuff is going to dissolve, things that have been around. But it's a healthy dissolving. It's like the food that you ate today dissolving in your intestines, and then you eliminate it so you can eat again tomorrow. It's a cycle. So what the religious people, whatever their religion is, the scientific people, the people involved in other systems and areas, all of us, whatever it is, however much money we paid for our education, no matter how well we did, we're going to lose everything that we thought was real. But in its place is something that we always dreamed as children that we would have. In other words, this false world is going away. And out of it is being born a beautiful reality for us individually and collectively. And that is using the biological technology. Because we are so much more, it's been hinted at. It's been hinted at in the religions. And in science, too, if those papers weren't hidden from us. And definitely by the ETs. We really are God in form. And all this talk about higher dimensions, remember that those higher dimensions rest on the lower dimensions. They're all important. Just like a foundation of a building is as important as the roof and the internal structures. Because God is one. God, it's more than just down here and up there and lower dimensions and higher dimensions. The ultimate is all is one. And all dimensions are loved equally. And we'll get used to being in these water bodies. Our bodies on a microcosmic level are 99.9% water. Do you realize you're living in a water body? I'm trying to realize it. There's this lady who's got a PhD in all this, and she visited me from Italy. And, you know, she's pretty well connected and worked for some pretty impressive people. And we are divine spirit incarnated in water. You, Mem, are a divine spirit incarnated in water. I'm a divine spirit incarnated in water. Candy, you are. We all are. And what Dr. Emoto showed us is that water, no matter how toxic it has become, through any contact with higher frequencies, will cleanse itself. He proved it over and over and over again. So, as we go through these changes over the next few months, relax and surrender and give thanks. For the old is passing away and the new is arising. And it's just good to relax. If you've ever had constipation, the different meds that you can take or herbs would make you relax, because the body will naturally have a bowel movement every day. It's its healthy, natural rhythm. But if you're tense, you can restrict it. And tension causes most diseases. So whatever each and any one of us can do to relax, I suggest doing it. If it's a glass of wine or a good beer, and if you're going to drink beer, Google the ones that are healthy, because some of them are putting some bad shit in there. Excuse my expression, but there's been a lot of publicity about it. And some of them are very pure and actually very healing. And probably wines are the same way. So do your homework and get, the organic stuff, the good stuff. Or it may not be that at all. It may be just going fishing, or reading a good book, or listening to beautiful music, or getting a massage, or just being alone for a while, or going for a walk, or doing some kind of art project, or going to seminars, maybe online like Matt Kaine. But whatever you can do to relax, I suggest, as long as it's the highest good of all and non-toxic, I suggest that would be something to consider. Because fighting right now fighting anytime it takes a lot of energy to fight. A lot of resources. Whether you're fighting your own feelings and memories, or whether you're trying to fight a battle on the outer, it takes a lot of energy. And this is a time of conserving energy and relaxing. So you back away from fighting, which means you don't fight inside and you don't fight outside. You're saying, I'm not fighting for a while. So, whatever we do here, it's not going to be fighting. And so with the feelings as they come up, what I would request you to understand, because this is my belief from what I've been able to gather, is whatever emotions you're dealing with, I will guarantee you are not the only one. There are millions dealing with that emotion. It can be guilt, shame, hopelessness, tiredness, confusion, doubt, wanting to give up, overwhelmed, confused, any of those. Angry, bewildered, blindsided, betrayed, whatever. There are millions who are feeling that feeling.
But Cynthia, let's just overwhelm all that with our joy.
That happens naturally. That joy will arise, but until these lower feelings are felt with love, they will demand the show every time. In other words, a lot of people will go to spiritual retreats in order to uplift their feelings, but they will have a very difficult time doing it. And what we were seeing over the 70s, 80s, and 90s when we used to go to these retreats is that if we could have a few rooms aside where people who just couldn't get into the practices, who just couldn't get rid of that tension in their gut, could come, and we would let them feel those feelings, and we would applaud them for having the courage to go there, and let them cry their tears, let them scream their rage and their hurt in a pillow. And it wouldn't take very long. The longest I've ever seen it take was 3 hours, and that was rare, usually in less, I'd say about an hour. These people could just unload, that heart-wrenching agony that had just been driving them crazy. And then they could go back into the retreat area, and 1,000,000 tons had been lifted off them. and they could get into the beautiful practices better than ever. They became the highest ones there. Does that make sense to you?
It does.
Good.
It does, and I can see that, and I've been around people even today that needed to go have a great big cry.
Yeah, thank you.
And the big cry, really helps. I mean, I cried for 2 years after my husband passed away. But I'm just feeling so much joy. I've walked outside on this day out of time, and I have seen the most. Right now, I am looking at the most magnificent sunset of the year.
Wow.
Oh, I'm going to be posting it on Facebook later tonight. It's just so pink and blues and beautiful things. And my friend bought a pale blue angel stone today. And the sky just seemed to be that color as things are cooling down. And I have wanted to interrupt you briefly to share what I just found in my mailbox. So interesting. When I was at the UN, I got a postcard, and I bought the UN stamp, which can only be mailed at the UN post office. And I mailed it to myself because I wanted it to be kind of like a treasure to myself and my kids at home. And I wrote this postcard July 13th. They finally stamped it to leave July 18th. And here it arrives on July 25th.
Wow.
But this is what I wrote, and this just triggers my memory. Here, Mom visited today the UN and declared the law of one in effect for Earth's region of the universe. And I officially invited all beings to help bring peace, including the Pope, Paul Ryan, General Dunford, and friends everywhere in the galaxy. Love, Mom.
You know what, Candy? This is just my opinion, okay? But I stand by it. I stand by it proudly. That is an important historical document.
Oh, I think so. Maybe it took so long because everybody was reading it.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, the document itself is very important for this new age. For the historical archives.
A handwritten postcard, which is rare these days, and to speak the law of one for our region of the universe. That's what I was inspired to write.
That is so beautiful. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm so glad you're talking about these biorhythms. I studied them so much in the 70s, but it was hard to keep up. So you're saying there's a free app?
Oh, girlfriend, there is such good free the computer programs. You just type in free biorhythm calculators and then choose.
Yes,
they're not out for money. They're out there to help people. They're darn good programs.
Great. Well, I'm not sure what I should do with this document here.
Keep it very carefully as a trust for future generations.
Right. Well, I'll go bless it and put it on my home altar now.
Okay, but just realize that what you have there is a historical, it's actually a lawful document because you are a member of our council, not only in this lifetime but others, and you actually made the journey and did this on behalf of the people And the fact that it arrived on the day out of time, I mean, okay. I mean, how much synchronicity do you need?
Yes. Oh.
And it might be a very good idea just to take some photographs of it and maybe send them to people, so if anything were to happen to the original document, there would be a record of it. Take both sides.
Absolutely, and I'm writing down the date on top of it.
And maybe send a copy to Chris for him to share with the Galactics and see what they say.
Oh, yes. Yes. I'll do that.
I just love it.
We're a powerful team.
Well, we are who we are. You know, we've had many, many lifetimes. We've played many, many roles. And we have the great gift of being here and having survived. And we're in the position where we could be helpful. We could walk the earth and be happy and be helpful. And the younger generations would look up to us and be grateful that we survived and that we are helpful, that we're happy, and that we love them, and they can depend on us. They can depend on us to be happy and healthy and helpful. And that's what elders do. And the elders for this new time are young and beautiful. We're into divine immortality and youth and beauty and perfection. But our age is obvious. Whether we're 300 or 400 or 30,000 years old. I mean, it just blew my mind when this guy from India, told me that his teacher over there was 5,000 years old. And I said, well, Prince Harendra, he was one of the 52 children of the king of the Sikhs over there. I said, Prince Harendra. I said, wow, 5,000 years old? And he said, yeah, but it's embarrassing. And I said, what? How is it embarrassing? And he said, because the real teachers in the region are 30,000 years old. They're human beings like you and me. They look very young. And they are just walking the talk. And that's where we're headed. And I can't honestly speak for all of them because they're all individuals. But generally speaking, the impression that I've gotten from them is they have taken the vow to stay here until every sentient being is enlightened and in happiness.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we're joining their ranks. We're joining their ranks. We're but toddlers ourselves.
Yes. Mm.
It's a beautiful thing.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, do you want to share some angel messages for?
Well, we can. Mary, did you get on the line tonight? She's traveling. She may not be on. Her phone was not all that great. And Marianne's at work. So, yeah, let me just turn
I'm here.
Oh, the Mare! Hey. Okay, listen, Mare, this is a trip, okay, what I'm about to ask you to do. All right, here's the deal. I discovered today, actually I discovered it before, but I just couldn't believe it. But there are two angel groups whose name is Golog.
Really?
What? Yeah, you can look it up. It's 15 Aries. That is Golog, and right now the asteroid Selena is right there on 15 Aries, and it's problem solving in science and philosophy. And where Saturn is at right now, I'm not making this up. Saturn is at 11 Sagittarius, which is also Golog, which is the evocation, calling in help from invisible realms.
So what is the name of those angels?
Golog, Golog, and there's two groups. One is 15 Aries, and one is 11 Sag.
Wow.
I mean, this is off the scale.
I didn't even know that.
Well, I just figured it out today because I just kept saying Golog, and I said, there's two of them. There's got to be, and I looked it up. And not only are there two Gologs, it's the only two that I know that are the same. I mean, not that I know everything, but I'm discovering more all the time, but these two are the same. And one is 11 Sag, and the other one is 15 Aries.
Wow.
But Saturn right now is at 11 Sag. And Selena, which is really, I think, a dwarf planet, but I'm not sure, is at 15 Aries. They're both named Golog. Now, G stands for grace and mercy. There's two O's. They stand for seeing through the eyes of love and harmony and justice. So there's two G's. It begins with a G and ends with a G, which is grace and mercy. There's two O's, which is seeing through the eyes of love and harmony and justice. And then in the middle is L, which is all of the divine virtues taken together. Right? So you've got Saturn at one Golog, and you've got Selena at the other Golog. I mean, is that off the scale? So my question to you, Mirror, if you're into it, if you could read an angel message here, and I could quickly go get a glass of tea, would either to be or to read a little bit of both, whatever you feel,
okay,
of 11 Sag and 15 Aries. Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're coming through good.
Oh, good. I think what I'll do is I'm going to read the beginning of 15 degrees Aries, the Golog, the angels of problem solving in science and philosophy.
Okay.
And which planet is there?
It's a dwarf planet, or I need to do more studying on it, but it's either a very large asteroid or a dwarf planet. It may be a dwarf planet.
Okay.
But they've discovered it out there, and it's emitting the frequencies of stirring within us all on an emotional and physical level magical abilities to survive the unsurvivable.
Okay. All right.
That's like when you do a fire walk and you're able to walk on the hot coals and not get burned.
Wow. But
on an emotional and physical level, things that are absolutely and totally unsurvivable, there is no way. This dwarf planet is emitting the frequencies of, oh, yes, there is, too, and emitting those frequencies. And that is at 15 Aries.
Okay, let's read that one first.
Okay, good.
Okay, Golog, Golog, the angels of problem solving in science and philosophy. Beloved, we help solve any problem in the material world for the child of light who is impelled by divine love to create new reality, particularly in philosophy and science. Through the virtues of the letters of our name, overviews and grand perspectives in philosophy
integrate different viewpoints. A child of light can synthesize various disparate schools of thought so that they support and complete each other. We tie together science and philosophy so they become one continuum of thought that showcases the magnificence and the majesty of supreme consciousness. The ultimate purpose of all philosophy is to enhance seekers' paths to enlightenment. Insights in philosophy are powerful spiritual tools and necessary for the victory of love. And that is Golog, the Angels of Problem Solving in Science and Philosophy. And then the other Golog, which is 11 Sagittarius. There we go. All right. Okay. Golog. The Angels of Evocation. Beloved, the original blueprints ordained that all beings of creation, both inner and outer, work together consciously for the highest good of all. In the cosmic cycles and rhythms, it is now time for the web of life to mirror the image of the perfection of heaven. Therefore, it is of greatest importance and benefit that each child of light become aware of vertical networking. You already use horizontal networks on the physical plane, such as in use of the internet or any form of spoken or written word with others in embodiment. Now, remember to call for help from unseen beings as well. Angels, Christ, your guides, teachers, avatars, spirit healers, adepts, saints, elemental beings, and prophets, those realized beings who are truly the extension of yourself, and unbind your power for accomplishing the most good in this incarnation. Network vertically, call on blessings and grace whenever you sense the truth of I of myself can do nothing. It is the Father within who doeth the works, and claim your divine inheritance. For an example, a sense of futility in longing to contribute service toward ending pollution in your environment could stem from not drawing on all heavenly resources for help. Suppose there is a harmful, toxic waste dump near your house and you wish to clean it up. It is your divine right to accomplish this by enlisting the aid of nature spirits and angelic beings in the inner world, even more than by concentrating solely on enlisting the help of physical experts in the material world. The key is to have empathy for the existing situation and all involved, past, present, and future. Then ask for healing. Invoke help. Give specific instructions as to exactly what must be done. Understand the alchemy of visualizing the desired outcome already existing in the now moment, and feel gratitude. Can you hear me, Cynthia?
Yeah, you're doing good.
Okay. This phone, I'm not sure. If there is a war within your soul, or a war in your family, or a war in a neighboring country, and you wish to end it and bring peace, how easy and more effective for you to enlist the help of unseen beings. Remember the role of empathy to heal and transmute. Seeing through eyes of love awakens the indwelling holy essence in whatever is seen. When there are situations where seemingly no assistance is available in the outer world, remember that the heavenly house can accomplish anything, which is why it is said repeatedly, All things are possible to the one that believes. Ask and you shall receive. We are the very important angels to you, and we perform a very specific function. Ask for our help in learning to access the unlimited multitudes of heavenly hosts who serve the Most High with the highest good. In the realms of God, there are many non-physical beings, as there are visible beings in the physical world. The times are demanding great change and great healing, and working miracles with the aid of unseen beings is not only simpler, but ecstatic and blissful to accomplish. We are entrusted by Providence with teaching how to connect with the heavenly hosts, whose purpose is to assist and bless. Remember that humankind has been given dominion over creation by inheritance as children of God. Dominion must be guided by wisdom, which is the joining of will and love, for heaven and earth to mirror each other. The heavenly multitudes embody wisdom, love, and will of divine consciousness. There are legions for every conceivable issue or situation, and by calling on them for input, wisely use the power of dominion to administer heaven on earth. Just as there are different ways to connect with physical beings in your world, so are there different ways to connect with beings of the heavenly world. The temple of the heart contains within it all creation and all time and space. Enter this inner sanctuary. Take any situation and call on us while visualizing and feeling the desired outcomes happening now. Ask the heavenly host to accompany you as it becomes important to you to learn how to connect with spiritual beings. We are excellent teachers into the mysteries of this art. Through both horizontal and vertical networking, grace and mercy emerge in sufficiency to overcome all that has gone before, bringing forth the splendor and majesty of all beings in creation. To those who are mature and who have thoroughly learned the lessons of harmlessness and the law of one, we entrust words of power which use the letters and meditations of the divine virtues that are taught in these messages. These words of power give dominion over beings of any realm. To evoke aid from the heavenly hosts, clear intent is the most first requirement. For this, one must be aware of their existence and have strong desire or intention to contact them for the purpose of making contact. Make the contact inwardly in the same way you make contact in the outer world. Identify who you wish to contact, and then send a strong prayer in your inward consciousness to that heavenly being or beings. For example, in the case of the toxic waste site, you might wish to restore. Ask to speak to the hosts that deal with transmutation and nature. And if there are politics or economics involved, ask to speak with the hosts dealing with political and economic situations. This request goes out telepathically to the unified field of consciousness ever present in both inner and outer space. If you are psychically sensitive, you will actually feel the appropriate beings soon focus their attention on you. Even if you do not have this sensitivity, rest assured that they are there. Next comes an intellectual grasp of what your purpose or request is. Hold this concept, the mental picture of what you want, clearly in your mind. The clearer this is, the better. Using the law of one and asking for the highest good of all guarantees success, even if you are not sure exactly what to ask for. Then imagine and feel strongly deep empathy for all involved in all time and space, and feel the wonderful emotions that result from the answering of this prayer. Feel your own happiness and also feel healthy, vibrant feelings from all who are affected by it. In our example, feel the thrill of the restored land and ecosystem itself and the relief of joy of any local residents as the area is restored to beauty and health. Finally, focus on the sensations of the outcome of the answered prayer. In our example, imagine hearing happy birds singing in the area with the wind rustling through healthy plants and the smell of clean air and vision of loveliness of restored land. See the answer happening in the present now moment. Merge with feelings of joy and gratitude. The key is to imagine at each state the desired intent, concepts, feelings, and sensations of this prayer so clearly that you get to the point where you are holding all this concentration together at one time. Intent, desire, concept, feeling, and senses all at once. As this happens, a volt of energy goes out from your brain and most importantly from your heart. As this happens, a volt of energy, I said, goes out from your brain and from your heart. This power determined by the amount of belief, enthusiasm, and feelings of triumphant beauty. This volt is a wave of fourfold information whose wholeness and effectiveness is defined by the clarity and scope of the emotional, conceptual, and sensory part of the prayer. This wave of information piggybacks onto or nests in sympathetic resonance with powerful larger waves of the omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient field of energy that is universal mind. If extreme or dramatic changes are sought, the heavenly hosts may desire to make sure the implications have been carefully considered and so require the request be made more than once over a period of time. Whenever a child of light invokes aid of personal nature, it is important to also ask that the same help be given to everyone else in creation who needs it. This is working in the Akasha, and when the highest good of all is included, there is no karma. For example, in our illustration, one asks that all toxic waste sites be corrected for the highest good of all. This is how magical evocation happens. This process focuses in the temple of the heart and is the mystical fourfold key to manifestation as taught by the ancients. Once you have performed it yourself a few times, it is easier and easier until becoming second nature. Fine-tune the intensity of your desire and clarity of feelings and concepts. Practice feeling and sensing. Even a child can do it. In fact, it takes a similar form of strong feelings and clear imagination as used by little children at play, in trust and innocence. You must be as little children to enter the kingdom of God. With faith, all things are possible. If you are not sure what to ask for as a solution to a problem, or even if you are not sure what exactly the problem is, perhaps having only a vague feeling that something somewhere is not as it should be, then we suggest that your request take the form of surrendering the entire situation to the beings of cosmic consciousness and love who understand the situation and how to heal it. Your heart acts as the grounding rod for divine intervention. Desire to connect with these beings. Imagine that they analyze and diagnose the situation and come up with a solution. Feel the wonderful emotions of having the situation resolve itself perfectly. Sense the beautiful results on the physical world from having this prayer answered. Golov, the angels of evocation, 11 degrees Sagittarius.
That's, as long as Saturn is at this degree, and Saturn moves fairly slow, that's what we have to do. Every one of us. If you don't have faith, please ask for it. I remember well in my 20s when I realized it was quite a shock, and it took a long time. But I realized I didn't have faith. I mean, I'd been to church every day of my life. I'm well, not every day, every Sunday. I mean, I was like a super religious person. And if anybody had ever asked me if I had faith, I'd say, oh, yeah, I have faith. But it was in my 20s that I realized that, no, I really didn't. That what I really believed in was very fatalistic. You know, I just been through too much, seen too much, and it's like my faith, was like Murphy's Law. If something can go wrong, it will. I was very fatalistic, very depressed, very troubled 20-year-old. And I realized I didn't have faith. It was a shock to me. It went against everything I had believed about myself. But when, the rubber hit the road, when I got real honest with myself, I realized, no, I pray and all that, and I give lip service to it all. But deep down, I was overwhelmed with the negativity of the world and with my life. And that's what I had faith in, was just the down, depressing energy, because I'd just been inundated with it for so long from so many different directions. And so I went into prayer, and I admitted to God, I said, I would sure like to have faith, but I realize I don't. And if you would like me to have faith, then I'm asking you to give it to me. And then if you give me the faith, I'll give you the credit. And I prayed that prayer for the depths of my heart, and by golly, did I ever get faith. It was a miracle how much faith I got. It's off the scale. If faith could be obscene, it was obscene. It was amazing faith. But it was a gift of God. And I didn't receive it until I understood clearly, on a deeply personal level, that I didn't have it. And I asked for it, and it was given to me. And so I had this amazing faith. But I gave God the glory for it. And God, in this case, is the underlying unity and intelligence and love that has created and sustained, and is still sustaining, the whole universe. And it is a universe that is physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And all four of those levels are infinite. It's an infinitely physical universe. It's an infinitely emotional universe. It's an infinitely causal or mental universe. And it's an infinitely spiritual universe of will. And there's no end to it, and there never will be. And it will breathe out and it will breathe in. When it breathes out, it is what we're experiencing now. And when it breathes in, it goes back into the oneness. And we're in that process, actually. But in this situation, where we're having the in-breath, if what I understand is correct, and in many areas I understand very little. So little it's embarrassing to even talking about it. But I share what little I have. Is for what they're saying is the first time in this particular omniverse, with the in-breath, we're not going to lose our form. We're not going to disintegrate and dematerialize. in this in-breath, we're going to stay in form, stay in emotion, stay in mind, stay in spirit, fire, air, water, and earth. But we are uniting with the in-breath with the one being. And what we'll be experiencing is being the one and many at the same time. In other words, we will embody all polarities and all paradox. But when I add up all this stuff, because we're running out of time here, I know people have to wake up early in the morning, but when I add up all this stuff, what is the bottom line? And the bottom line that I get, and I would love people to correct me if I'm wrong. I would love to hear people give me other viewpoints. Because the more we can discuss this, the better. But the bottom line, as I can see it, is a 3-letter word, and it's called joy. Joy. So with that, I turn it over to Mayor, to Candy, to anyone on the call that would like to add something to that or confirm it or whatever, because that really is the bottom line. Is we are creating a reality of joy. So back to you, sweet Candy or Mayor or whoever.
Well, I just wanted to thank you and just pray that may we all have joy. May all beings have joy, no matter what has gone before. May everything be forgiven.
Yeah.
May all beings have joy. Yeah. And I guess I know it's a Native American. I don't know if it's the Sioux, but they say Omatakiasi, which means all my relations.
Yeah.
And we're just asking for all our relations, Omatakiasi, all my relations, for the highest good. Thank you.
Joy to all.
Joy to all. Thank you so much. I'm going to mute out. Are you still there, Cynthia?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, just checking. Okay.
Would y'all like to do a prayer, everybody on the call, for this coming year tomorrow?
Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Candy. Yes. Omatakia.
Okay, let's do a prayer. We call in the living flame of divine love to be with us now, to be with us personally and individually and collectively, with everything and everyone in creation, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, no matter how individualistic or how universal, in all time and space, and even beyond. And we call in universal consciousness, the omnipresent divine mind, which is in everything, as everything, sustaining everything, experiencing everything, to be with us now. And we're asking that the situation of every single thing in creation, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, from the infinitely small to the infinitely large, from the individuals to the groups to the multiplicities, mineral, plant, animal, human, elemental, whatever there is, to be downloaded into universal mind, to be recognized, calibrated, and for the appropriate response to be made, so that joy and life everlasting is given unto all of creation. Because we are all one. And when one is harmed, all are harmed. And when one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who we all are, no matter how small or large, how weak or strong, and we are all one with all there is. We ask that the highest good of all happen. And with infinite power, infinite presence, infinite wisdom, and infinite love, we give thanks that this is done. So be it, and so it is.
And so it is.
So, Candy, I just closed my candy jar here. Put the lid on it. I love the way you do that, girl. You are the best. Well, we're all the best in our own way, but definitely you've got your best. I'm so glad you're on our call, and I'm so glad you share with us. And thank you for that historical document tonight. And if you would send me, if you photograph the front and back, if you would send me a copy, I want to print it out. But anyway, back to you. I'm muting out.
While we're waiting for Candy, Cynthia, I just want to tell you thank you. I am always so filled to overflowing just to hear the downloads that come through you, and everything just flowed so beautifully. Many of the things that you spoke of were in conversations with myself and another person over the past couple of days, and different things that we were discussing, and you're just so timely. It's always perfect every time, and I'm sure that it's true with the others that are listening on this call. Candy, where are you?
She may be in deep meditation. Do you know how to close the call?
Actually, I don't, Cynthia.
Mira, do you know how to close the call?
As far as stopping the recording, is that what you're talking? Yeah.
Yeah, I think you. Let me.
I
see.
don't have my.
Okay, let me see if I did write it down somewhere. Let me see if I can find in these things here. Maybe I can figure it out. Okay, here we go. Let's see if this is it. It says start and stop recording. You hit *9 to stop start recording.
Well, if you do that, I just want you to know that you are loved.
Would you do it? I don't.
Okay.
Did you call in on the presenters or not?
No, I wasn't on the presenter line.
Wait, I heard somebody beep. Okay, I'm going to hit *9. Let's see what happens, because I came in on presenters.
Are you looking for healing or a change in your life to help you enjoy it more fully? You might benefit from a galactic energy reading and clearing from Chris Jacobs. Chris will work with you on a soul level to clear unseen negative influences, implants, programs, contracts, and energetic blocks. Chris Jacobs is a gifted energy healer. Contact him today at ChristopherStephenJacobs@gmail.com.